This is okay. How do I form sentences or what? This is not weird at all. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome and welcome back to my channel. I have been missing off the face of the earth, okay? I've been non-existent for the last month. March was very difficult. I was sick for like 3 weeks. I'm still a little sick, and it's April. Cut me a little slack, okay? Just the smallest bit, because I feel like I forgot everything. How to talk to a camera. I'm like really awkward. My anxiety it's killing me right now. I haven't even been on Instagram like that. It's been very sad. And the last month, I think I only read 4 or 5 books in March, because being sick, it's something you would think that you being sick means you get to read more, because I was off work for 2 weeks. I had nothing else to do but lay and recover for 2 weeks. And how many books did I read in those 2 weeks? I think one or 1.5. Like, I tried to get into another book, couldn't, and I stayed and just watched movies for the rest of my 2 weeks. So, with that being said, bear with me, okay? We're gonna try our best in this reading, what is it called? Reading cap? Reading wrap up. I'm already off to a great start. For this reading wrap up, I'm going to try to go quick. I feel like I'll probably go quicker on the books that I just didn't like that much, and then I'll take my time more on the books that I did really enjoy. So I think I read exactly 20 books in the last 3 months. That's not that bad, honestly. I think I definitely did better in the first 2 months. But we're gonna go through these. So I'm not gonna lie, I definitely do have my computer like literally on my lap, and it's probably gonna stay like this for the rest of the video until we get to March, but I've been sick, so I feel like I have like a foggy brain right now, and I can't quite remember, but the ones that I rated 3 stars and whatnot, I can't really put my finger on what even happened or what the main character's name was. You know what's crazy that I kind of like just realized is the last time I filmed a video I had bangs. The first book I read in January is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. Now, if we know me, if you guys are not new to the channel, then you know me a little bit. I really like Riley Sager books. Is this one like a memorable one? No, not at all. Not at all. I feel like Riley Sager just has this cool way of writing that you're just never bored reading his work, and that was kind of just all the book gave to me. I was a good time. It had a good twist ending. I feel like this is a book people may like reading more in the summertime, really. But that's kind of it, honestly. I'm gonna move on fast from this one. Oh, I forgot that I have to rate the books. Act like you've been here before, please. I gave this one 3 stars. It wasn't bad. It wasn't the best Riley Sager I've ever read, but I'm not gonna give up an author because this was just a good time, and I was kind of all I really was here for in the moment. Did kind of suck that it was the first book I picked of the year to be 3 stars, but it was fine because the next few books made up for it. And then the next book that I read in January is 5 Broken Blades by Mia Cortland. Yeah, Cortland. Okay, so this book was definitely a little bit weird for me, but it was really good. Like, it was never a dull moment in this book, but it had its weird, the insta-lovey thing that was very insta-lovey. Or if the chapter's just too short, but it couldn't have been that because I really do love short chapters, but I feel like because the chapters were short and then everything was just insta-lovey, it was like, how do they even have time to feel this way? It didn't feel very realistic or real, even though it's a fantasy book, but it didn't feel like these characters even really knew each other to fall in love. So I didn't really feel connected to the characters because of that. But it was never a dull moment. Each chapter left me off like a little cliffhanger where I wanted to keep reading the next book or the next chapter. This book definitely did feel like it was written in a very YA manner. But then once I looked it up, I realized that the author normally writes children's books, so it kind of made more sense to me why this was written this way. But I did really love the story and the world building, and it kept me entertained. I just fell off. So the next book that I read was The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. I think this is the first witch book that I really enjoyed. I think I read like 2 or 3 so far, and those 2 felt just corny and not the vibe for me. But this one, 40 pages in, I can tell I was gonna love this, and I felt very connected to the characters, the 3 main girls. I loved the writing, I loved the characters, I loved the story and the magical elements in this book. I love that I'm gonna need water like every 5 minutes from talking. Where's my bottle? Let's just keep that close to us because my throat is on fire. Okay, this is a very LGBTQ, witches, YA, romance, fantasy, mystery thriller. Like, I feel like it's all kind of put in here and I loved it. The ending of this book, I almost raised out on because I wanted a happy ending. I'm not gonna say too much on that part. I rated this book a 4.75. And because I wanted to take a little break, I wanted to get back into One Piece. So I ended up reading volumes 13 through 15 of One Piece. 5 stars, loved it, gonna move on. And then, because it was literally on the date that it released, I picked up Onyx Storm. And if you know, you know, okay? If you read it, then you know. But it definitely took me a while to understand what I was going to even rate this book or what I truly thought about this book. Like, I finished this book in like 5 days and then it took me another 5 more days to understand my feelings on it. I definitely enjoyed this book way more than Iron Flame. For some reason, Iron Flame and me, we weren't getting along, really, and it took me like forever to try to finish that book. The spice in this book, where, how, came out of left field. Like, I was not expecting it to be this spicy, especially leaving off of Iron Flame. I guess that's why this book was that spicy, because Iron Flame was just dull. Yeah, so to get what we got in chapter 3, just chapter 3, I was in it for the long haul. The only thing that I was just so confused and lost about is just how many new characters we got in this book and how many side quests, I guess I'm gonna say, that they had to go on. Like, it was like, I understood that the side quests meant a lot to the story and the plot of the big war, but god dang. And I appreciated though that she did write like a glossary of like names in here for us to kind of remember and like their position in the school. But I wish we had that for all the new people as well. And don't even get me started on the ending. If I talked about the ending, I would personally have too many dang questions. It was a really good book. I really liked this one. Fourth Wing and Onyx Storm are definitely my 2 favorite for sure. I rated this book a 4.75. I took away the 2.5 because of my confusion, but everything else was perfect. The next book that I read, because again I need a break, especially after that 500-page banger, was JiuJitsu Kaisen number 5, which is really weird that I didn't like this one this much, knowing that I really do enjoy this series. I rated this book a 3 stars. For some reason, it just wasn't keeping me in the spirits of wanting to read. Like, this little tiny 200-page manga took me a week and a half, because I definitely just was not a part of it. I should have put it down earlier, but I wanted to really just get through it. And I wanted like a palate cleanser. This did not clean that palate, let me tell you. I don't know if it's just me and me taking so long to read the next book in the series, or if it's like this whole school war fighting program thing that I'm not vibing with, because one of them is making me lose interest. I'm not fully there. And then the last book that I read in January, and the first 5 stars, so it kind of was like hand in hand, is Beautifully Ugly. Now, at first I thought I was going to rate this a 4.5 stars. I think I did rate this a 4.5 stars on my Instagram, but I'm changing my mind, because the more I think about this book and like the plot of it and like the way that this was written was so phenomenal, and like Alice Feeney just does it to me all the freaking time. I have a lot of her books, not a lot, but like at least 3 I think. If I'm not mistaken, each of those books I rated 5 stars. So I ended up, in my book journal, I ended up writing her backlog, because I want to go through all the books she's ever read, and right there should speak for itself how much I really love this book. And it was crazy because it's a mystery thriller, but a lot of quotes in this book I really wanted to like underline and highlight, which is weird that I just didn't find a pen and do that, because now I kind of want to reread it to annotate it. But you would think in a mystery thriller that there's not going to be much to annotate and highlight. I was wrong. And I thought this book was going to be like so cut and dry in the beginning, like, oh, we know who did this. But it wasn't. It absolutely was not. I started feeling like I was getting little hints, but then I was proven to be very, very wrong. The whole last 50 pages of this book just went non-stop. I couldn't stop myself. Like, I had to just sit there, and I think I did just sit there for like 2 to 3 hours and just read the last 50 pages of this book. Not even 2 to 3 hours, because I feel like when you know that you're in a good part of a book where drama is happening, you automatically just read faster, and that's exactly what I was doing for this. My eyes are just going a mile a minute. And the ending, the message in this book, if you read this book, you know the message, and I felt like that was just genius, and also very, very, very difficult to write something like that. This book was definitely it for me, okay? 5 whole stars. So the first book that I read in February, which I kind of already did a reading vlog on, so I'm not going to talk too much about these books. The first one was Defy Me. I rated this with 3 stars. I don't really know what happened. I think it could be like a part of, it could be a play on both parts of A, me taking forever to get back into the series, and then B, this series just low-key starting to be boring for me. I love the ending of book 4 so much. I thought book 5 was just gonna like bring it home, but no, it didn't pop off as I thought it was gonna pop off. I don't know, for some reason I felt like very emotionless reading this book, and I feel like this is the book that should have been the most emotional. Yeah, 3 stars. The next book I read was the novella 4.5, Reveal Me. It was okay. It was okay. It was really a 2.5 rating. So in my personal opinion, I feel like if you don't need to know another person's POV for like 15 pages, the novellas are pointless, honestly. And then I read Imagine Me, the last book in the Shatter Me series, and you would think that I would have really loved it. I feel like the first and last book of series normally are my favorites, but not this one. I'm honestly surprised that I really even got to finish this book, because I was on the verge of DNFing. If it wasn't for the audiobook that pretty much saved my life with this book, or the series I should say, the audiobook was definitely way more entertaining than reading this. I should have did the audiobook for Defy Me too. I think I tried to, or I was about to start, but I just got through it. Unfortunate to say that this book also got rated at 3 stars. Am I happy I got to read the Shatter Me series? Yes. Do I feel like I was a little late to the game? Yes. In a way. It's weird to say that I feel like if I started this book 2 years into my reading journey, I probably would have really loved it. But now that I feel like I have all of this behind me, I kind of like was expecting more from this series, especially with how much people were hyping up. But I think that's just also something that one of my friends said on Instagram, that the older you get, YA books don't really hit the same. I'm starting to understand that just a little bit. Sometimes I disagree, because a lot of YA books that I still read that you're gonna see coming up, I really enjoyed. I think it's just also writing styles that kind of hit different too. So, and then the first 5-star book of February. We actually got 2 for that month. Really hard for me to get a 5-star reads now. Our first one for February was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Died for this book. I wanted to binge read this book so bad. I was so down to like put in sick hours at work, so I just had time to just read this book, okay? This book was like the Midnight Library in The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue had a baby. This would have popped up. This would have came out the womb. The vibe I was getting from this book. There's a few underlined thingies I have in here, but there's a lot of books that I still have not tabbed. I just have them underlined. The chapters were really long. I think there was only 13 or 14 chapters in this entire book, but they never felt long. They never felt like, oh, I'm still reading chapter 3. It was very cohesive. It just went along, and like once you finish a chapter, you wanted to automatically get into the next chapter, because it's like, what's gonna happen now? Where are we now? And I think that also is because the author did such a great job of writing this book that those chapters felt that way. There's probably another version of me somewhere that liked science and actually paid attention to science class, that understood the whole quantum physics thing a lot more than this version of myself did. I loved it either way. I definitely still think about this book to this day, and I still think about Amanda. Where is she? What happened to her? Can we get another book from just Amanda's perspective? Because I have inklings. I have ideas. Nothing was confirmed, so I don't want to assume. But 5 stars. This book is 5 freaking stars. The next book that I read was honestly kind of saddening that it was rated so low after just coming off that crazy insane high of dark matter. A Killing Cold by Kate Alice Marshall. I don't quite remember anything about this book. I know it's a mystery thriller. I wrote half of a sentence on my notion about this book and it said it was okay. It didn't really hold my attention. Audio. So I guess I had to finish this book on audio to really enjoy it. Oh, I'm starting to remember a little bit about this girl who was about to get married to this guy who has like this rich family, and they have to go to the mountains with the snow and the cabin, the dragonfly. Like, so I just remember keywords about this book. I don't really remember anything else. So I rate this book at 2.5 stars. So because I realized that I really do actually like listening to audiobooks while I'm working or opening up shop, so I decided to find a audiobook that I could listen to, which was called The Perfect Little Children by Sophie Hannah. I think I probably got 30% in, and then soft DNF. So it's not that it's bad, because it's actually really good and it's really weird, and I am interested in the story, but I just don't think it was a time for me right then and there for that audiobook specifically. What's up with me and words today? Yeah, so I soft DNF'd it, but I do want to get back to it, and I still have it, so whenever I am ready, I am going to finish that book. And then the last book of February, and also the last 5 stars of February, I fell in love with Hope by Lankali. I don't really know how to say this name. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And it's really weird because when I went to go review this book, I saw how many people didn't like this book. A lot of people say that this is not their first book by this author, and this was their worst one. This was my first book by this author, and this was my favorite one. For sure. I'm probably going to want to try to read more of her work. This book had me crying and dying for these characters. Wait, I probably definitely should not say the word dying for this book. The friendship, the romance, the tragedy, the love, the mystery, the poeticness, like everything about this book I absolutely loved and was eating it up. Something I also really did appreciate, that the main character never went by a pronoun, so no one ever said she, her, him, so like you wouldn't really know what gender our main character is, which I actually really did appreciate. This book was beautiful. The poems in this book was insane. So many things are underlined and so many things need to be tabbed ASAP. So the first book that I read in March was Skype by Neil Susterman. I really did enjoy this book. It was a unique story or concept, I should say. And I feel like I don't really read many crazy unique stories like this, where there's like no God, no war, no misery, no death until the skies come and kill ya, pretty much. The writing was really easy to get into. I felt like the world building was super easy to get into because of that, and I was kind of here for it. The only thing I didn't really enjoy, which is probably why I took off 0.5 from my rating score, so I did rate this book a 4.5. The only thing I didn't really like is like the kind of insta-lovey thing. It was like, I did understand that they were together for X amount of times, but they didn't really even talk to each other, so there's no way, unless it was just attraction, but there was no way that was just as easy as they're making out to be. So I felt like even because of that part, it was hard for me to get into the second book a little bit. Even though I know this wasn't a romance story, it was just like, can we just pull that? It was like, you did so good at writing everything else, can we just like pull that, give it some strings, some thread, something to lean on, like anything. But I actually finished this book in 3 days, so I really was enjoying myself. Then obviously the next book I read was Thunderhead. I don't know really what happened to the cover. I think this is around when I started getting sick, so this might be honey on the cover of this book. It's fine. This one had a lot of twists and turns in it, a lot of more information in it. We get to see the POV of the Thunderhead itself, which was really cool to see how this robot or this AI has low-key all these feelings. And the way that this book ended you off was like, don't walk but run to the next book. So that's what I did. I ran to the 3rd book. I rated this one 4 stars though. I'm not honestly sure why, because the way I'm talking about it now seems like I did enjoy it more than the first book, but I didn't. I really didn't. I enjoyed the first book way more than this one, but the things that I was getting from this book was different from the first one, if that makes sense. Don't know if it did. Doesn't sound like I even believe in myself. So like I was saying, I did try to read the third book, The Toll, but that was around when I was very, very, very sick. I had no voice. I couldn't talk. I was doing sign language to people. Like, it was bad. And then I kind of fell off around like the 200-page mark because that book is over 600 pages long. So I low-key soft DNF'd it for a while because when I started feeling a little better, the book wasn't calling to me. So I decided to not force myself, especially that I just took like a 2-week break reading to start off reading something that I'm not gonna like and then just be in a reading slump for however many weeks after that. So I decided to read something that I knew I would have a little bit more enjoyment to. So the next book was Count My Lies by Sophie Stava. This was a good lying thriller. Honestly, it wasn't jaw-dropping. I feel like I read this book a few times already by like Colleen Hoover or someone like that. I had a very mystery thriller itch to scratch after I was sick, so I just decided to pick this one up because for some reason I actually don't have that many mystery thriller books. I need more mystery thrillers because those are definitely kind of like my go-to books. Romance is more when I'm just in the mood for it, so I kind of have too many romances to even be in the mood for all of these. Especially, I feel like in 1 year, I don't even know if I'm going to get through all these romances this year, to be honest. I rated the book a 3.5 stars. Wasn't the worst, but wasn't the best thriller. And then the first and the only 5 stars of March. First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. Let me tell you, okay, when I picked up this book, I felt like I might have been making a mistake because I was not mentally in a romance mood. And this is what I love about reading sometimes, is that you're not in a mood to read this book, but you start a book, 3 chapters in, you're in the mood for whatever that book is. Because that was me. I was in a romance mood. 3 chapters in, literally, not even. I was like, I need to read more. So many of these pages too are underlined and I need to just start tabbing. And I just felt so connected to Lucy that it was kind of ridiculous, and like the things that she was saying and the things that she wanted out of love. Hopeless romantic. That is most definitely me to the day I die, probably. Hopefully not. One part that I really wanted to talk to you guys about. I can't remember, but I know it was the first talk about a picnic and a fort and the simple mundane things that people low-key forget. And that part of this book brought me to absolute tears. Yeah, I just absolutely love this book so much. First 5 stars of March. I think I already said that, but it was so good. Highly recommend reading this new book. And this freaking cover is ridiculous. Anyway, last book that I read in March was Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. I was like on my Facebook forum page and everyone was saying how they needed like a good mystery thriller, like one that's gonna be jaw-dropping. And this was in the pick. It was a good thriller. I rated a 3.5 stars. It was also kind of like the Count My Lies thriller, where I'm not sure if I'm reading too many thrillers now, that where I kind of feel like I know what's gonna happen or I know what's going on, but most of the thrillers that I do read that I absolutely love, I have no idea, so I think I just need to find those ones to bring me back. It was one of those like you just read just to read it and to have a good old time, and I did, so meh. So the only ones that I rated a 5 stars in the last 3 months is First Time Caller, Beautifully Ugly, I Fell in Love with Hope, and Dark Matter. I think that's 4 or 5 stars for 3 months. I think that's pretty good. That's definitely pretty good. That's amazing. That's a bit, now that I think about it, wait a minute, that's freaking amazing. One of my favorite parts is seeing all the books put together. It just makes it so satisfying to me. I'm not sure if I can get it all on camera, but these are all the books and some more that was on my Kindle / audiobooks that I have read for the last 3 months. I'm sorry I was gone for so long. I'm going to definitely try my hardest to make sure that does not happen again, but I'm going to try my best to just think of some new ideas to do for you guys. I feel like I've also been a little creative slump, especially on Instagram, okay? But I'm going to do my best, okay? That's all you can do sometimes is your best. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate you guys so much. I hope I get to see you. You get to see me in another video. Later. I don't know how I'm gonna reach you and hold these books.
Oh, hello, Papa.
I had a that was gonna happen. I had a feeling.
Hello, Papa.
So sweet like a lemonade. Take time making you the minute maid. We can do something new, let me innovate. We can take it slow like we iterate. So sweet.